All right.
got documents that we're gonna work with are on here. That's why I brought it, because I thought I might need to access it for some reason.
Mhm. Okay. I am ready whenever you guys are.
Hey, you can call the roll.
All right, I shall call the roll. Brittany Hooper. Here. Mike Kavler,
Here.
Virginia Lewis. Here. Jody Manson. Here. Tom Need.
Here.
All right, thank you. We are now in order with the regular meeting on October 2nd of the zoning commission. And all members are present. DG, our zoning assistant secretary, is here. The director of zoning development is not with us this evening, and we have no one else that needs to be introduced. Do we have anybody on Zoom besides Virginia?
Bob Singer. Bob Singer.
Hi, Bob.
Bob Singer's out there? Okay, hi, Bob.
That was Mike coming in.
Yep. And disappearing again.
Oh, that's good to give
You get into the room though.
DG access. All right, DG. Well, why don't you go ahead? I don't know.
We could role play, we have somebody pretend they were.
Well, I'm just thinking about the minutes.
Yeah.
We don't have copies of them.
Now that I have.
I've got my copy that I printed off, but
I have one, I have mine.
you've got one.
I can access mine on.
Can you access yours? Did you?
I didn't bring it, but I looked at Tom's corrections and your corrections, my corrections, and I approve of all of them.
I
Oh,
approve all of
geez.
them.
Okay.
I only had
Is
one
there-
sign-in sheet over there. There should be if there's not.
There is not.
Okay, we'll get you one in a minute then.
Okay.
I I just had one call out at the end and I don't know if
The
it matters
time.
or not. The time, it said it ended at 7:20. It was Yeah, you're welcome. not 7 or 9:20. It was like 9:40, but I don't know how important that is.
Oh. Well,
Other than that,
if
it
you
was
know it
good.
was 9:40, I'm fine. Let's change it. Put it at
9:40-ish.
9:40.
That'd be fine.
I don't remember what time it was. I just assumed that once it was, I mean, what was recorded was probably accurate. But
I know.
you
yeah,
know,
it was
you
late.
were-
I know, it's a
and you're
late.
the one who made the motion. Okay, so that.
You just want it recorded that we stayed late. We don't get paid any.
I
I was gonna say, you still get $20 regardless. $20.
Did you see the other changes that
Yes,
we were?
I
talking
did.
about?
I was fine with the changes. Yeah, I'm fine with all the changes as well.
Then I'll make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes, the workshop meeting minutes from September 11th as corrected.
Okay, yeah, the one thing that Jody did was separate them out into two sets. Workshop separated from
The hearing,
hearing, so that,
there were two sets of minutes then.
I think,
Yeah.
So then there were.
yeah,
two
so that
sets.
there were two separate sets, and so
But-
the hearing minutes will be submitted to the trustees, is what she was thinking,
Good.
instead of them being embedded within.
And I think it's also a good idea to keep a copy of the minutes for the hearing with the hearing file folder.
With the application, I think. Yeah.
So that it's all easily found if there are any questions.
Yep.
I mean, one set of the minutes has to go into the record book. But I think it's also important to have one with the application.
I don't know that that's ever been done in the past, but I don't have any objections to it being done.
I think Sherry did if there were any issues she thought might come back up. I don't know what the other,
Possibly,
Zoning inspectors
yeah,
did.
I don't know. Because I've never gone back and looked to see what you put in the file.
Is that something that you have done or been asked to do in the past?
I've done a little organizing in there. Some do have minutes in them, some don't. It just sort of, I can't find a rhyme or reason for it. But some of them, yeah, so I'm sure we can just start adding them to the trustee minutes.
Well, let's
Like,
start making that then as Joni here is suggesting, let's just start making this standard practice. You run a copy of the minutes and put them in the file with the hearing.
Yeah, that's fine.
And then they will be in the minutes book once you put the book together.
And hearings also get sent to the trustees with their applications, the hearing minutes. Right?
Yeah, well, she knows that, I think.
Yeah, they all get.
Actually, the
so I'm
person who
just-
puts that whole package together to go to the trustees is Kendra.
Mhm. And so I'll just make sure that the minutes stay.
I mean,
in with
she
the original
provides the
document.
information to Kendra and then Kendra assembles and sends it to the trustees.
I'll second Tom's motion. I don't know if anybody seconded. I don't think so.
You're right.
Tom's.
So, moved by Tom to approve the minutes as corrected and seconded by Brittany. Any further discussion? All right, then all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay. The minutes for the workshop meeting are approved. Now, Tom, you said workshop meeting, so were you separating out the hearing then? We'll need a motion to approve those.
Let me think. I make a motion to approve the hearing minutes HTZC 2308 from September 11th as corrected.
Second.
Brittany seconded that one. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. The motion is approved and the hearing minutes are approved as corrected.
I've got a question for DG.
Mhm.
So these are the hearing minutes
Mhm.
where we have a recommendation from Delaware County Regional Planning.
Yes,
Does that also get filed with the hearing?
the Delaware Regional Planning, like, whole thing just goes straight into the file for the trustees. So that will probably, I think that also ends up then in the final file. Only had to do a few of these so
Yeah.
far.
There's a final file once the trustees
Yeah, and
act.
I believe that that recommendation is in there if we have one.
Okay, good.
Well, for these last couple of hearings, of course, we do have them. I don't know. They should have been there for all of them, but something might have happened in transition there.
Can we go back a couple of steps to questions from the public now that we have public,
Yes, we certainly can.
if there are any questions from the. Oh, come on. Okay.
Something, yeah.
No questions from the public?
Did we
You're
get a
done.
sign-in sheet out there?
No, wait.
No, can I get the public's name and address?
Yes, Matthew Yeager,
Jaeger with Y or J?
Jaeger. 6681.
Right. Thank you.
And since there's no questions from the public, we'll go on. Anytime you have one, just wave at us and we can be very informal tonight. We don't have any new applications to receive. We have reviewed the minutes and our main item of business tonight is to talk about the procedural guidelines, rezoning application and checklist. I'm sorry Mike's not here because obviously we want his input on this.
Well, I told Brittany that just means we can stick him with whatever work we want him to do and he can't say anything about it if he's not here. So.
Public comment? You saw him walking in the.
He's in the, he's somewhere here.
I think.
That's so walk out.
Yeah. He just came to unlock the office.
Okay.
Couldn't keep him.
Yeah. Were there any reports, Mike? Did we skip this?
Oh, you're right. We need to go back up to the reports if there are any. Does anyone have anything that you need to report?
Only me.
Because
Um,
zoning director's not here for his report.
So I'll just report that the trustees approved the County Line Road Overlay District by a vote of 3-0 with no changes. So that's in the works now, 30-day referendum period, and it becomes
Yeah,
Law.
when you're saying no changes, no changes.
from what we,
From what was recommended at our last zoning commission
correct,
hearing.
correct.
Okay.
And
And I have submitted a request for us to all receive copies, not only of that one. But actually I made the request to DG, just submitted it to her in writing today for the 4 previous ones that have been approved by the trustees and are now in effect because the 30-day waiting period has indeed passed. This last one, the County Line Road Overlay, we still have, what, this is 4 or 5 days, so we still have about 26 or so days yet before the 30-day waiting period, so to speak, where people, if they are going to file any kind of a referendum, would have the opportunity to do that. I haven't heard anything more other than what we heard at the meeting when there were questions were asked about, well, it wasn't so much a question as one of the members of the public spoke to that was an option for people to consider. I know Joni was there and Tom was there and I was there, so we heard whether. And that person who made that comment went on to say, and I'm not suggesting that be done. He's pointing out that it was an option. Usually one of the trustees does that, but this time nobody's presented that as an option. At the end, once they approved the overlay district. So haven't heard anything more. Is anybody paying any attention to what's on next door neighbor? Is there anything out there?
It's mainly just been election related. From what I've seen.
Yeah, I didn't see anything about the reselling.
Yeah, well, good. So hopefully this one will go through without having to deal with the referendum. And then we'll have the 5 in place. And we'll get copies of all of them.
so when we get the copies
The
of
hard copies.
the hard
paper
copies to bind into our 3-ring binder, is there gonna be room or do we need thicker binders?
Well, that's up to
Yes,
you.
I
I've
think
already
bigger binder.
exchanged mine into a bigger binder. so,
Okay.
We're all gonna need to
But
go that direction.
at some point, if your binder isn't big enough, let me or Mike know, and we'll see about getting you another one. But I switched mine to a 2-inch binder
Okay.
some time ago.
The only other report from the strategic planning committee is that we're starting work on all of the economic related counterparts to the zoning overlay districts. JEDs and TIFs and CRAs and NCAs. So that's just started and there's no other news than that.
You're not starting another overlay?
We're looking maybe at extending one from west on Trenton Road a little bit towards 605. There's 4 or 5 large parcels that were not included in sub-area C on the County Line Road overlay. We'll talk about it tomorrow. We'll see how we feel about it. Beyond that, I think we're gonna start focusing on Center Village.
Okay.
Have you made any headway with AEP? I know you were asking about our easement.
Yeah, I talked to them today. They actually came here. Jerry Paul went down there last Thursday, I think, and had a meeting with the president and 2 of his vice presidents and a managing director of the company. So at least he's talking to the higher ups. We have not gotten any firm commitment one way or the other, other than they understand our concerns about.
Is Jerry gonna come to the meeting tomorrow night and give a report? on his meeting, or was that meeting
I don't,
not necessarily any outcomes from it?
the only outcome is they hear us. Is that large 3x3, that large format map that they were lusting after, so now they have 2 copies of it. I mean, it's probably more detail than they normally get from townships. And it very clearly shows the impact of their proposed power lines.
And those transmission lines help me remember, I'm thinking it's 150 foot width
Yes,
that they go for, right?
yes. Yeah, so it's a 150-foot wide easement. For every acre of ground that they buy an easement on, that's about 290 running feet. So it's 150 by 290 is an acre. So you eat up acreage pretty quick,
Sure can.
especially when you're
And-
doing 8 or 9 miles of it.
Mhm.
And supposedly they're offering the landowners $150,000 an acre for the easement in pieces. They get, for the first year, an option on an easement, they'll get 10% down.
Yeah.
And then they may not need that easement, and that just goes away. They get their 10% and that's it. But if they do need the easement, then they move forward on it.
Yeah. We got shorted big time then. Ours was sub 5,000, I'm
Yeah,
pretty
well,
sure. That was a long time
That
ago.
was a long time.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
It was in my lifetime. It wasn't that long ago.
Oh, that's true.
Just a blink.
But the prices have greatly
Yes,
increased,
yes, that is
especially,
true.
especially now.
Yes, with
What's
Intel.
happening over here with
Yeah.
uh, Intel and that development.
So AEP is still a mystery. Where I mean, other than the fact that they continue to listen to us, we think. And maybe making moves in the right direction, we really have no idea what they're thinking, what they're planning. All we know is that the normal process, which normally takes 2 or 3 years, is gonna be fast tracked. They're gonna accelerate the hearing through the Ohio Power Siting Board, and it will not take more than 90 days. Total. So this is gonna happen fast.
Jeez. They
90
can't
days.
possibly get all the environmental stuff done that fast.
Well, they're doing it now, so they're basically 90 days from the point that they make their application, which they haven't done yet.
Okay.
And they're scheduled to do the application sometime Q1 of next year. So they're doing all the environmental, they're doing historical, they're doing watersheds and wetlands and everything.
They're anticipating that they're gonna do the application when?
First quarter
First quarter
next year,
of
2024. And what they told us today is that they will apply for, let me see if I get this right, there will be 2 corridors that they will be applying for, but they'll apply for them separately. One for immediate action and one for later action. And whether they actually do the second application, I don't know, but they're gonna map them out. They're gonna be fixed on the ground, so everybody will know where both corridors will be, even if they don't apply for the second one right away.
And both of those corridors are coming through Harlem Township.
Not necessarily. There's one corridor,
Yeah, I got you,
That-
not necessarily,
Right.
but there's the possibility that they could.
possibility that one or both will come through the township.
I hope we can convince them to move them over into Lincoln County.
Doing our best.
Uh,
The other thing, not on the AP side, but on the sewer side. They're blasting now, right?
That's what they've said. I have yet to hear anything. I spoke to a neighbor that's a little closer and they haven't heard anything either. They were close enough to be in the like notified 1,000 feet and they still haven't heard anything, so.
Licking County, the villages and the townships in the city of Johnstown are trying to work out some accord. And the Southwest Licking Sewer and Water District are trying to work out some accord where they'll all have their assigned territories. And they won't fight over it. The only thing I can see is that the color-coded map that was in the Newark Advocate a couple of days ago shows one sewer district or another, either Southwest Licking County or Johnstown, serving all of Monroe Township right up to the county line. So there'll be sewer, or at least a sewer district right on the boundary of the township. And that means somebody on that side, on our side, can say, oh, I want that, and jump. So that's, yes.
Give me an update on the blasting. I was driving down Harlem Road. And I got stopped at the very front when they were doing 1,000-foot blasting. And the guy directing traffic, he had his camera out, and I said, hey, are you guys doing the blasting? He's like, yeah, you'll hear it in a second, get your phone out. So I got a good video of them. When they stopped us, and sure enough, the detonation went off, a loud boom, shook the car a little bit. And he said, he gave me an update while I was waiting for the all clear. They were approximately 80 feet down. This was last Wednesday. They were 80 feet down. And they blast 6 feet at a time.
Straight.
Yep. So they put explosives in there, blast out 6 feet at a time, then they remove it all and continue on. So they're still planning on going down 200 feet and then going horizontal.
So it was every 1 to 3 days, they were gonna go another 6 feet, right?
Yeah, something like that. Every 1 to 3 days, they'll go another 6 feet.
Well, the neighbor I spoke to said something like 8 years they're planning on being on that site working.
Wow.
I don't know.
Because they're telling everybody by the early 2026, they're gonna be ready to connect.
Which is extremely fast.
Yeah, I don't,
Well, there'll be a lot of rumors flying around.
Well, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, but this was from the project engineer for the city of Columbus, so who knows? That's what he's been told to tell people.
Yeah, well, that would probably be the best source, at least it's
Yeah.
coming from an official. And then, of course, we don't know what Delaware County will be doing in
Yeah.
terms of following up on that. They're the ones who'll be responsible for the feeder lines. And you in strategic planning, I don't know where it's you personally, is it Bruce?
Actually, it's Jim.
Jim
Steele-
Steel Smith is
yeah.
the one that's following up on it.
He's basically looking at the large parcels that will be developed quickly. And how those string together and how you would run the sewer lines to access those. Because from the county's point of view, the feeder lines will be developer driven, developer paid for. Right, except maybe the initial connection into the trunk. Which is, doesn't really serve anybody. It serves everybody, so you can't ask one guy to pay for all of it. But once that connection into the trunk line is in, it's just a matter of whether you go east on to serve Fancher Road, north to serve Harlem and Miller Pole, or north and then east to cross over 605. And that's all who's gonna be looking to develop their properties quickly.
Well, and right now, yeah, there's nothing that specifically that we know of, is there? That is where a developer has plans specifically that would be
depending
coming
on
forth
sewer.
quickly. The closest thing would be, but they're not gonna, over here on Duncan Run, where we approved the overlay district already, they're not gonna request sewers for that. There's no need to. So it would have to be something I'm thinking along Fancher Road in that direction. Seems like the most likely.
It might be
area
one
to
of the
come
large
first.
parcels along Fancher or ones north of Fancher.
Yeah,
between-
that's right. That's what
Between
I'm,
Harlem and Miller Pole, or even on the far side of 605. And there's a lot of parcels in play. There's a
Yeah,
lot of
out
parcels.
that way, out.
Yeah.
To the east.
Yeah, but, you know, covering most of the southern half of the township, it's very active, I'm sure. So we're just, you know, I mean, Jim is just trying to keep track of who's got what and how quickly they're gonna wanna move and try to stitch those together in terms of some kind of coherent map where where the sewer should go first.
Yeah. Well, we gotta have somebody to continue to do that.
Yeah.
And,
He's gonna be up in Delaware probably next week or the week after with the map. And try to hammer things out with the sewer district. But they've said very clearly, Delaware does not want to bring anybody else's sewers into the township. They want to be responsible for sewer service. They want the rates, they want the revenue. So they don't want to give up what's potentially theirs.
Yeah, and the potential will be there in the future. Right now, I guess it's not there in the sense of there's no sewers that are already in place just east of County Line Road.
But they're close.
But they're close, yes. A lot closer than we are.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Tom. Anybody else have anything you want to share or report on tonight? It's okay. Before we jump right into the procedural guidelines, let's just take a couple of minutes because I've got another item listed here under new business for next week, the workshop meeting. I want to review with you since we haven't, we didn't have a meeting in September with Scott working on the revisions in the existing zoning resolution. The expectations that we have for him and what he's bringing. I want to send him an email and I want to verify with you that we're all on the same page of what our expectations are from him in that regard. We, as we met last, had talked about the Article 4, and he was going to bring us a draft, is my recollection of the revisions that we have discussed, so that we'd have a complete draft, revised version of.
Article 4, isn't that definitions?
I beg your pardon?
Isn't Article 4 definitions?
I'm sorry, I said 4. I didn't really mean 4. I'm thinking low density resolution R2. I don't know why I said 4.
So that's like.
That's
it's
actually
9.
in terms of article number, it's Article 9. 4 is definitions, you're right. So it would be Article 9, low density residential district. Is that everyone's expecting that? Okay. And then the other thing that he had been working on was the development of procedures that could potentially be used for the planned districts that are not overlays. What are you expecting him to bring in that regard to the meeting next Monday?
I think he should be bringing a spreadsheet, which basically outlines what's in each procedure for each district now and where there are gaps and where there's overlap and where we could kind of
Well, I
merge.
thought we have that spreadsheet.
Then we'll go over it.
Sorter.
Sort of.
He hasn't proposed any new language in that spreadsheet. It's just the spreadsheet of what's there, right?
Think so, and I think I was supposed to send him something on the original documents for the HCVR ones thing.
There was discussion about that, I do recall. He was gonna verify zoning for that area.
Which lots were included or something.
For the for the R2. And I do recall, you did say that you forwarded him the original documents.
Yeah.
If you did
If
you
I
find them?
I haven't found them yet. And I'm sure they aren't something that can just be emailed. I'm sure they're just hard copies.
Yeah, they would be. They'd have to be scanned.
Yeah. So, yeah, I have not found them yet.
Well, if you can find them,
Yeah.
I don't. Can you scan at home or do you have?
Yeah.
Did you have read? Okay. And if you do find them, and then if you could scan them, you could go ahead and then just email them up
Mhm,
to Scott.
mhm.
And I would also suggest then that you would include Mike Cannon as receiving a copy, so he would have it.
Okay.
Make sure that he has it on file. It may be here, but the files were not in very good shape, as you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I'm sure, yes, we did make sure there was a copy here as well when we created that district.
So I know they've been working hard to try to get some of the files straightened out, and they've apparently found some things that were temporarily lost.
Yes.
Uh,
Creating other issues, I heard.
yes, you're thinking of the same issue, I think,
Yeah.
that I. So that would be great, Joni, if you can do that and get it to him. So the expectations that would be for the R2, for going back to the spreadsheet that we already have. I don't know. What is it that we should ask him to do with that sheet beyond what we have? Because right now it does list them.
I thought he was already taking them and trying to sort of combine them into basically one set
I thought he
after
was
looking
working
at
on
that spreadsheet. Yeah, I thought he was going to draft something up that was a combined procedures for
Yeah.
us.
I think he was headed in that direction, and my reservation is that procedure for planned residential districts doesn't look at all like the procedures for industrial or commercial. I don't think you're gonna be
Right.
able to get one procedure to do both.
Well,
But if we can get one procedure for AR one, FR one,
we could do one for the residential. And then a second one for the commercial and industrial.
yeah,
I think, I mean, that's what we basically did with
And
overlays.
that pretty much is I recall also that there was discussion about that at our last meeting. And
yeah.
but we didn't necessarily give him direction to do that at that time. Think we should do that now.
Well, I would find out if he's doing that on his own.
He talked about it, that he, was gonna be looking at that.
Yeah.
Whether he's decided to go that way or not, I haven't had a discussion with him about. Tell you what, I'll follow up tomorrow on that particular issue. But the other part, you'll just set with that is the expectation. I mean, I had notes to myself about that. The part that I was vague on was what we're just now discussing with regard to the procedure.
And my recollection of the discussion we had on R2 is that it would be limited to specific parcel IDs
Yes, that's exactly right.
that are in it now or should be in it now. And then it's closed,
It's
it's
closed.
finished.
It's taking the same approach with it that we took with the Harlem and Center Village residential district.
So I think it leaves a gap in the zoning resolution. We have 5 acre minimum, 2 acre minimum. We're getting rid of the 1 acre minimum, which was R2. And then we have all these planned districts. There's nothing that says with sewer, you can build on 1 acre.
I thought the
Would be like
R2 was going to be-
R1.
Yeah, I thought there was a line in the R2. That they wouldn't be expanded unless sewers came in or something.
We were talking about cutting R2 off.
Yeah.
Basically, from being used.
I think
Unless sewers were.
Unless sewers were brought in and then
But I don't-
we'd also would need to specify a minimum acreage with the new ones.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think we go
Was he
far
doing-
enough along on that discussion
But
besides just,
we don't
getting rid
want
of it.
the minimum lot size to be
2/10 of an acre.
2,000 feet.
No.
2,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think it's less than 2 feet.
Well,
So-
Or something.
About 2/10 of an acre. in Center Village.
For some of the existing R2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think there's gonna be a gap that we're gonna have to fill with some sort of zoning district that says with sewers and with less than 10 acres or 25 acres or whatever, that you can take a 5 acre lot and split it into 1 acre parcels.
And I guess I don't understand why we're completely getting rid of R2s if we're just,
Well, because I don't know that R2 as it stands, it's kind of muddied because it's got all these old parcels in it. And maybe we just wanna, like. Historic Center
Well,
Village, historic
yeah.
Harlem Village, you just, that's what it was. That's
What,
it
what
was.
we know is that right now. I'm not sure, maybe I'm overstating it, but I don't think that there are any parcels in that are zoned R2 that actually meet the requirements.
There are very, well, no, because it
Because
requires
it's
sewer.
None of them have sewer.
Yeah, yeah.
And that puts them all in non-conforming
Right.
status. Size wise, minimum of 1 acre, there are a couple, I think, that meet that minimum. When it comes to lot size, but
I think it still makes sense to just cut off R2, and I think we will. I think there will be a large enough gap in time between when we cut off R2 and when we actually get sewer to put something like that in place. I don't know that that needs
It's
to be a
not
huge push right now.
critical. Yeah, there's no critical.
Yeah, I
person.
see your point, but I don't see that as a super pressing thing. I'd rather get AR1, FR1, all of those things really tight and locked in before we worry about that.
And then R1 should be fairly simple because it'll be a version of a half of an
Right.
FR1.
And pretty
Yeah.
much, I think, my recollection is that was the direction that Scott was heading.
Yeah.
It was going to be locked in to the existing R2 lots and not looking.
Yeah.
to Provide the opportunity for expansion on it. Okay. Well, thank you. And I will follow up with him then tomorrow. Okay, now coming to the procedural guidelines, rezoning application and checklist. Virginia,
Alrighty,
you're the one who's been working on drafting up some things.
yes,
So now we're going to see Virginia's screen here shortly.
hopefully, if I can figure out how to do it.
Was the office opened up for you, DG? So if you need a copy of something,
You
you
wanna
can
make
do that.
Copies. I still have yet to see a digital copy of the actual application, so you just get that with my
Yeah,
handwriting.
I'm still digging through
Oh.
files for that.
One of these is front and back,
Okay.
so you just make copies of all of them.
Well, there is,
Are you gonna share?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
I'm just figuring out how to do that.
okay, fine, here it is. I have this one, and then I have the original.
Oh
I
my
tried,
goodness.
I wanted to print the one where you made the changes, but it wouldn't print.
Okay,
I couldn't print it at home. I have this. I'm talking about the procedure.
That's what,
Thought I had it
oh,
somewhere,
I didn't even print that one.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to share. Like I said, it's my husband's laptop, and I don't know if I need administrative access.
this one, I think the only thing I couldn't make it
Do it
do
live.
was spacing,
Oh,
You gotta,
indents and stuff were off.
Oh, I didn't. I don't think I even save it. Let's see.
did you get close enough to identify the tree that's growing in the silo? Is that a hickory in there?
You can tell it's got those, little leaves that go out of it. There's 2 different trees growing in there.
It looks like the sand has gone like this.
Should have got them closer up. Closer to it. I figure you would appreciate that.
How far into the book? Oh, I'm sorry.
Right, I cannot share my screen because I don't know. I don't have administrative access to this laptop. Sorry.
Okay, so I gave Brittany a spare copy that just doesn't
Well,
have
and
have the
DG's
indents right.
It's not here. Can I give you access to share?
No, she doesn't have it on her
oh, it's
machine.
her laptop.
Yeah, I think
Not
it's,
her laptop.
I thought it was the administrator of this.
no, it's the administrator of the laptop, which is my husband. So,
Well, I brought it up here, if I can get,
yeah, if I can make you a co-host, then are you on Zoom? You're not on.
I'm
Zoom.
not on Zoom yet, I have to join Zoom. But it is on here, let's see if I can join Zoom now.
And Brittany, your change did come through on Google.
Oh,
Docs.
good, did it?
So, yeah.
There was, like-
It's
I was
not on
looking
the-
through here and I was like, where was the word that I have?
You check out 500 and it's not on the copy that DG has, but I checked on the Google Doc and it is there.
There was a couple other like grammatical errors, but now I don't
Okay.
remember. I don't think it's gonna like make or break anybody.
Okay, so the
I don't know, should and shall.
the
or-
500
Wasn't that-
is the $500 thing, is that what's,
Yeah, Brittany had suggested taking that out because obviously our fee schedule can
can
change
change?
and we don't want to have to go through and
No,
update our documents.
that's still on that copy, I believe.
Yeah,
And what was the other thing you had?
And I'm apparently out of red ink too, so my edits are in this weird shade of yellow.
I actually, so what I also did is I bolded the whole sentence that starts with failure.
Okay,
Because I think that was something that we were trying to highlight with bolding the word failure, but I'm
Mhm.
not sure that really gets the
oh yeah, I
the
see
job
that, yeah,
done
yeah, I see that on there.
there.
And I can go through and edit these as we are discussing and.
And I'm not sure if the word if is what we want to highlight in that last.
I think I
sentence.
unhighlighted,
Yes, you.
No,
because I
you
thought that
don't
was
have
weird
this one.
that
Okay.
we highlighted, yeah.
There you go.
Thank you.
That's
Um,
me trying to join the meeting.
And if you would make him the co-host, he has control over his laptop. I don't. So do we want to start on the procedural guidelines or the checklist or the application?
I think do the checklist while I'm trying to get this
Yeah.
set up.
Okay,
And then we don't have to, we'll work on this first. Go ahead.
so on the copy that you just got from DG, again, the $500 non-refundable deposit, the 500 has been removed. Cause that can change. The entire sentence started with failure.
Where I turn that on.
The entire sentence starting with failure has been bold.
Yeah,
Nope.
no,
Nope.
it's still doing it. I click on mute.
No, you gotta click on the mute that's on here.
Well, see, it's all right. It says it's muted.
Mute the sound on your computer, not in the Zoom.
I did. But it didn't work.
This one.
No, that's,
That you're connected to audio.
Go all the way down.
try this, see if this,
Wait,
oh, no, I don't want that one.
It's gone,
It's gone.
it's gone, whatever you did, it's done.
I think yeah, well, I found a place to
Yeah.
drag the volume down to 0.
All right, I'll take it.
This is the first time I've used this, so,
So we're both having technology issues.
all right, now let's see if I can share a screen.
So then the other big changes I made on the checklist, we just had a spot for the applicant to check.
Mhm.
I have added a column for someone from the zoning office to check it as well.
Mhm.
Hopefully, the more people that see it before us, the fewer issues we have.
But didn't Mike say that he wasn't allowed to like even give feedback? So wouldn't he not be
He
allowed
can-
to check this?
He can check that they are completed. He cannot check that they are completed accurately.
Okay, so he can check that they have all these items.
Yes,
Okay.
he
Well-
just can't tell them that
Sorry.
they didn't do
When
it.
you say check, he's not gonna use that term or necessarily be comfortable with that.
Well, okay, I said initial below when completed, so he's just simply initialing that they have been completed. He or DG, because I said zoning office.
I can't imagine he's gonna be willing to do that. Lily?
And basically what it is, a matter of, the applicant brings it in and he pretty much is basically saying to the applicant, do you have this? And then they show it to him. And if he's not gonna look at the document in terms of any kind of detail, if it's a map, they've got it.
And if an applicant submits this to us and they only have the applicant portion checked off, that is what it is. I don't think we need to require the zoning office necessarily to check off on it, but if they want to,
Mhm.
they have an option.
I think the important thing is to have the property owner checking off, saying that
Saying that it's there.
he's, supplied it.
So the next change then was in item number 3. A survey of the property to be rezoned and a matching legal description. It must also include the surveyor's stamp and signature, a scale drawing, a detailed calculation of net acreage that adjusts the gross acreage for rights of way and recorded easements. I added something into the procedural guidelines about take your acreage and subtract X, Y, and Z to get your net. I did not again write out subtraction in here. But we can if we need to.
In letter C, after the word net acreage, should it be that adjust? Did I update that on the?
Yes,
doc?
you did.
Okay, I just wanted to.
Yep. I read it back when I read it out. And then I added in this note, surveys must be less than 10 years old at the time an application is submitted. I don't know if we're allowed to require that. I don't know if it's worth requiring that. We just seem to get some people who have really old stuff and don't have easements recorded or deeds don't match or
Mhm.
there are just issues with the survey in general, and so I wonder if requiring a more recent survey would help us in that. But I don't know legally if we're allowed to do that.
Based on the meeting that we had with the legal counsel from the prosecutor's office, the answer to the question is no, we can't require
Can,
a new application
can we
Unless-
recommend?
unless what they turn in, we find is there are some errors with it, but to require it up front
We can't do.
is what they're basically saying. So that if they turn in an old one and we then have a hearing and we say, like, well, let's take the one that we just dealt with.
Mhm.
That was not accurate.
Yeah.
Then at that point, we would recess the hearing to a date and time certain and say, this is not acceptable. We can't make a decision based on the information. You need to get a new survey. Or if you don't want to get a new survey, we'll make a decision based on what you submitted and
It will fail.
then it may, we then may make the decision to reject it.
Well, then I will remove that.
But do, I mean.
Yeah, we can't require
Recommend
a
it.
new one
Can we
Well,
just
just
say that the
because it's
survey should be
10
less
years
than?
old or 20 years old or whatever age it is what they're telling us. That's what they told us.
So maybe not on the basis of age, but go back and we just did the Clark rezone.
Right.
Mhm.
And he got a new survey, and the purpose of the new survey was not so much the boundaries as
Easements.
where the easements are, where the road right of ways are, where the drainage easements are, where the utility easements are, and none of that was on his survey, his original survey, and it's rarely on historical surveys. And surveys don't look at easements, the ones that are on a deed. They don't even call out the easements, they just say subject to any, existing easements.
Well, and even newer surveys that we've seen, unless the homeowner has asked specifically for their surveyor to,
And
Adjust.
insisted.
Mhm.
yeah,
The surveyor says, what do you need that? You don't need that, and they have to go back and push.
yeah.
Say, no, here you need that. So maybe we don't say it by, it's gotta be 10 years old, but it's got to have recorded easements, rights of way called out on the drawing, maybe. Maybe.
So under C, should I put in parentheses?
Well, let's try that. We can put it in that way and I'll see if we can get it past the,
Well, I'm suggesting, what if we
assistant
change it to Tom's suggestion of, you know, a newer survey or,
well, no, I'm agreeing with what Tom's saying.
Okay.
I don't mean to confuse you. I'm
okay, so
sorry.
then I'm gonna take this out.
I hate to say it, even like you mentioned, in the new surveys, even if it's a new survey, sometimes they're not including it unless we
Unless we insist on it.
insist on it, yeah.
Yeah, well, and if we say that that's going to be that we want that to be a requirement.
So
like I
detailed
said,
calculation,
Before we actually would implement it, since we already involved the prosecutor's office in this process. We'll run the new procedures past the prosecutor's office so that if they have a problem with anything, we're going to include, they'll point it out. Because Dave Jackson was there and he doesn't want us to create anything that's going to cause us to have another lawsuit. You know, they've already got, no, I think they had 3, so. So I mean, they don't want another one.
so note, in order to accurately account for easements, we suggest having a new survey taken.
Or note, we recommend a new survey if your current survey does not show easements.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think that's what we've been discussing, what Joni just stated, in terms of wording it that way. Did you catch that, Virginia?
No. All right, Joni,
Eh,
put you on the spot.
Repeat it.
I didn't write it down.
She
as I
said we
said it.
recommend
A new survey.
a new survey. if
Leaving the
your current
note.
Does
Yeah.
not include recorded easements.
Okay. Note, we recommend a new survey if your current does not include recorded easements. All right, then I took out number 4, a detailed calculation in text and map for the net acreage, because I had moved that into number 3. The reason I combined that into number 3 is because on the procedural guidelines, Brittany, I know this will make you happy. We had issues with the numbers on the checklist and the numbers on the procedural guidelines not matching up. If we accept all of my edits, they will match up.
So refreshing.
So
Yeah.
that was my goal in
Accurate
combining. these two.
Survey, and now number 3 on the checklist matches that on the procedural
Yes.
guidelines.
Yes. So in number 5, I simply changed that these properties shall be numbered and match the list on the application to they shall be numbered, or yes, shall be numbered to match the list on the application.
So
What'd you do? Let me see here. I've got it. See it on the screen?
This is the procedural
That's it.
guidelines.
That's not the checklist, that's the procedure.
No, I know, but she was just referring to the procedure. I wanted to see what the procedure said. Number 3 says. It's on the screen if you can see it. The application shall include an accurate survey of the property. The survey must have its surveyor stamp signature and shall be a scaled drawing matching the text of the legal description. The survey must include a detailed calculation of net acreage in either a text or map form. Well, that language was part of what there was some confusion about, so I'm not sure how to list that. Whether that just the gross acreage account for the rights of way and recorded easements.
I just get rid of the word either.
In text and map form.
Yeah. Cause we've just told them on the.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's. Mike has indicated that that was causing some issues, the language that we have there.
Yes, they text and map, and then when they still mess it up and only give us one, at least they've given us one.
Yeah, so change that, what, and
Mm,
it'll just say net acreage in text
And map form.
and instead of or.
Mhm.
I try to get in here to change this, but it won't let me. So you do it on your, you can do it on yours though, right, Virginia?
Well, that's weird. You're the owner of it. Why won't it let you change it? We're on the procedural guidelines now.
If DG has this, she's the owner? Is that what you just said?
No, you're the owner. You're
How
the
can
one
I
who
be
sent
the
me this
owner?
link. You're the one who sent me the link.
Well, but I tried to get in there to change it and it,
ER, so.
let me see if I,
ER from either, so you obviously could do something. I'm feeling.
I changed the color, but I'm trying to delete.
No, don't delete it.
We're just.
You just want to get rid of either. It's not in either.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to get rid of the N. No, it didn't work. There,
Okay, hit
no.
delete.
Seems to be working.
Yeah.
There it
Oh,
goes.
Yeah.
it put a strikeout in it when I hit delete.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out how to get a strikeout in there. It made it red though, too.
That's it.
In text
And
and oh, okay. It did do it. In map form. All right. I'm going on down. That adjusts the gross acreage to account for rights of way and recorded easements. And then we're telling them how to do it. Right, Virginia?
yep.
Mm,
Now that last sentence there, you're going back to your 10-year-old survey.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Just
because
get
I
rid
had
of
made
that?
these to match one another, but if we can't do that, then. Then we should take out the provided survey must be less than 10 years old to ensure accuracy and put in. We recommend a new survey if your current survey does not include recorded easements.
Now what's
Are you
happening?
in it?
I did get in, we
Oh, you're
recommend,
doing it.
what did I just say?
No, go ahead.
We recommend a new survey.
You're in the document making changes.
Survey.
I thought you were talking about doing that on your checklist.
Well, that's what I had in the checklist and I'm just moving it over here.
Okay.
Right. Okay. So the checklist, that was really it for the checklist. Now the numbers match. The numbers on the procedural guidelines.
Okay, so then 4 is gone on the old one. And now it says 5. That's going to become 4. Yeah,
Yes,
you've already changed
yes,
it. I
and
see it.
I've changed that. So I guess we're done with the checklist then, basically, if everyone's okay with the checklist. The last thing I changed was December 2021 to September 2023.
Yep.
Yeah, so now that will be 4 and it matches because it's talking about the map. Yeah, 11 by 17 maps.
So. So just to run through this one time in my head. Number 1 is the application.
Yes. Which Mike had said we don't need 13 copies when I spoke to him in the office last month, but he's not here, so I don't really know how many copies we need.
We don't have to have 13 copies necessarily. I mean, how many do we want?
Well,
What we put in the,
Mike, DG,
there's actually supposed to be 7 of us.
7 of us, technically.
So
yeah, if we get
that's 9.
the,
And then
if
the
we ever
3
get the
And the trustees.
That's
That's three more.
12.
Did we have an extra
then
for
an
good
ex-
measure or an extra for
for-
the
for
office or?
filing.
But we don't necessarily, that always has kind of bothered me in the sense that we've asked for those copies, but possibly those aren't the copies that will go to the trustees.
Why not?
Yeah, that's-
Why don't they go to the trustees?
That goes to the trustees after we approve it. So what, what I'm saying is if they bring in that
people
many copies.
recess because they need to like bring in more stuff for.
Yeah.
page
But
things.
who would know that? What if that is the one that goes to the trustees?
Yeah, I don't know.
You can't predict that.
No, I don't, I'm just saying
Yeah.
it's.
Well, we can leave it at 13. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. Mike's
I'm
not here to
not
argue
either.
his point, so whatever.
13, but 13 does seem to be more than we need, right?
Only by one.
By one.
Only by one? You
Right.
counted up and you ended up at 12?
I mean, do you
We had
and Mike
9.
both keep copies or do you both sort of look at a copy together and then
It's
stick it in file?
Just like it's just.
One for
one
the
file
office.
For the zoning office.
So then we could probably go down to 11 copies.
And if what Mike was saying that you don't want the applicant to run 3 copies for the trustees until it's ready to go to the trustees, because there may be changes.
So what, you're gonna call the applicant out and be like, hey, can you print me 3 copies?
No, I mean, the applicant is here at the hearing,
Yeah,
and when the hearing, part of the hearing process is this is the final document with all the changes we've recommended. Now you make those changes and that's what goes to the trustees. You have to make copies for the trustees.
I'm not willing to do that until the trustees start mailing a notice to the applicant about when their hearing is. It really bothers me that the trustees are never reaching out to the applicant to say, this is when your hearing is.
Okay,
Yes, because some applicants, they miss the hearing because they don't know what it is.
Well, yeah, and you always say, attend the next trustees meeting to figure out when your hearing is scheduled. And they're like, oh, I don't know when the next trustees meeting is. And wait, I have to go to that? Yeah, but it's not your hearing. It's just to figure out when your hearing is scheduled for.
Right.
It's, that's their problem, but it's
I'm-
sloppy in my opinion.
I'm not sure it's the trustee's job to do that, and it should be the zoning director.
I don't know whose job it is, but I think it needs to be done and it's not being done currently, and
Okay.
that's problematic in my.
Well, let's answer our question about the number of copies. How about if we go with, if we do what she was suggesting, if we do 11 plus the original, that gives us enough copies for everybody. Right?
Mhm.
So we'll reduce it from 13 to 11.
Okay,
does anybody prefer to work with an electronic copy?
no, not with the 11 by 17.
no,
Not for these things.
do you,
I think-
Tom?
I think for an application, I probably, if I had an electronic copy, I'd probably print a copy.
Yeah,
So I
All right.
could
I
work
can
with
actually
that.
look at it.
Yeah.
My computer sucks, so. No.
right.
Normally I'd say yes.
All right.
So,
For
So
another
that's where we are with that one.
number
I'm
4.
sorry, Go ahead.
So under number 4. We're showing an 11 by 17 map.
Right.
And so that's kind of what number 4 is about, but it's also. It's got to match the list on the application,
Mhm.
Which we understand. But it's a real thorn in Mike's side, and we don't have the list. On the application. I mean, yes, we have a complete original application, that's number 1, but it doesn't call out anything about. A list of all the names, this.
What?
I can only
It's in
dummy proof
property
this so
owners.
much, like
It's,
it's a-
What do you mean?
the list of property owners that you put on your application, there's only one list of property owners and they're already numbered for you. You just have to write those numbers on your.
It says keyed to the list of property owners. What else does that mean?
Nobody seems to understand what that means.
It is
I
like,
think that's
then
very obvious.
there's no helping them.
I know, like, I'm gonna start bringing bibs and baby spoons from home if this is what we're getting to, like, I can't do it all for you.
Well, it says keyed to a separate list.
Well, you got rid of separate.
So what if we simply said keyed to
The list, that's on the
the
application.
the
That's-
list
That's what
property-
it says.
That's
a
what
list
it's
of
with.
names on the
You're looking
application?
at the procedural guidelines.
Like, you need to update it. You need to
He
look at.
crossed
Yeah, you're looking
out
at the old
separate.
ones.
See if I can find that now.
He crossed
Mike,
For
separate
number
out.
5,
It's the one with the yellowish.
TJ gave you a copy, a printout with the yellowish color. What's that stuff?
I know.
That pile of stuff right there.
What stuff? Oh,
This help. It's
this.
match the list.
Yeah, well, I was going to change it on.
of
It's already
But-
changed on there, Mike.
It's already changed?
I can add
Yeah,
that. The
look at
list
the
of,
bottom of that page there.
property owners, so that kind of keys it right to
Two. Okay, I see.
on the application.
there we
I
go.
didn't realize I even had this thing.
Tom has requested that I add the list of the property owners on the application to the checklist. So that it says property owners and this says property owners, and I can do that, and that's,
Okay. Wait, it's a problem. Okay.
you're looking at the procedural guidelines. I'm still on the checklist. We got
Got
too many
it.
things going.
Oh. Okay,
Well,
that changed.
yeah, we're working back and forth since we're doing it.
They're
It's good
supposed
to
to
make the
match.
comparison to be sure. the
Yes,
wording's the same.
yes.
I like that change. That's good.
Okay, so are we good on the checklist now, Tom? Are you?
Yeah, and can we leave out A and B? Is A and B in here somewhere?
You should not leave
A
that.
and, A and B are in there and they are even for A and B.
Should we reformat the procedures?
They're formatted to match currently. With my edits.
Well,
Well, they don't match in the sense of being A and B.
They do.
Yes, it is. Oh, it's lowercase a and lowercase b.
What,
is
what doesn't,
uppercase.
what doesn't match anymore is that the 5 and 6 should be 4 and 5 on here.
Yeah.
They are 4 and 5 on the checklist.
they'll turn into 4 and 5 once she
Yeah,
deletes.
once that strikeout,
That. But.
Okay.
Trying to, oh, well,
do we want the A's and B's to be
Yeah.
capitalized?
No, I'm just saying that we're trying to make the checklist, yes, idiot proof, but also as short and direct as possible. And so maybe we have 4, 1 sentence, like all the other A, B, and C, or most of the other 1, 2, and 3. But
3
we
has A,
forgot
B, and C.
about what these 2 sentences under A and B, because it's just repeating what, it's
The
repeating.
whole checklist is repeating what's on the procedural guidelines. We were just trying to distill it to make it.
I'm
So-
trying to distill it even more, but that's fine.
I like the way Virginia has it so far.
Okay,
Alright,
let's move on
They match it up very nice.
alright, procedural guidelines then?
from the top.
what most people are probably gonna do, and I think that may be happening already, is they use the checklist. They don't pay any attention to the procedure.
Well, that's their own fault, because it says use this checklist along with.
I know, we
procedural
tell them
guidelines.
that,
So
but-
it's the first thing on the paper.
And it's in bold.
Yes.
I'm not suggesting,
I
I'm
do it
not
for-
suggesting we change that. Okay, go ahead.
Alright, so on the procedural guidelines, my first change was in paragraph 2. It says Harlem Township Comprehensive Plan. I changed it to Comprehensive Master Plan because it gets referred to as both or either. So you get both. The next addition, I have added a paragraph that says all applicants are strongly encouraged to meet with the zoning office prior to submitting an application. The zoning office's contact information can be found under the Contact Us section of the township website. And I've included the website. I haven't checked the website to see if that's still accurate, so
Yeah, it probably is, although
it is. There we go.
you just checked it, okay.
It says zoning department. Oh. Should I change it to zoning department instead of zoning office?
You better change it.
Yeah, make it match.
Department. All right, the next thing, are these showing up? Brittany, have you been able to see them up there?
What?
Are they showing up for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So these 13 copies, we are now changing to 11 copies, correct?
Correct.
And we'll do the word and the. Ooh,
We're no longer sending it to the library. And the library said they don't want it.
Okay,
all right, well then there we
so
go.
that was another one that used to get him.
Yeah.
Was that only in there twice?
Yeah, I only see it twice.
Under number 1.
Because
Under number 1, I only see it twice.
regional planning gets a copy. right?
Oh, no. So that'd be
Regional
12
planning doesn't
weeks.
get a copy until we receive it, yes. Then we do send it up to regional planning because they have to
So
review
they
it.
do need a copy.
Yeah, they get a copy.
So then it
Go
has
back
to
to
be
12.
12.
And yeah, it goes back up to 12 then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should just left it at
All right.
15 and called it a
Well,
day.
I will go through and change that on the checklist, and then I will go back and change it on the
You
procedure.
should just get 13 just in case.
In case we've
Or
forgotten
in case
something
we're
else.
forgetting
Yeah,
something.
listen, I said this wasn't an issue that I was willing to fight on, but Mike's not here, so.
I was, yeah, didn't see anything wrong with 13. but-
Well, I feel like.
I just know that Mike mentioned it to me at one point. He was like, why do we need all these?
Kind of hassling us for needing paper. Which is rude.
Well, I'm sorry, but I need to see the paper copy for an application.
Right.
Well, 12 is a nice round number.
All right, 12, I think.
So we kicked out the one for the library. Is that what we're saying?
The one, yeah, it had to be.
All right.
I don't think. we've
It
been
has
down for a
not
long
been said for a long
Okay.
time. Because I remember Sherry telling me that the library told her they didn't want it anymore.
Yeah,
Do you want me to, where it says 20 and 40 days, add those into parentheses and write in the number 20 and the number 40? This is a Tom specific question.
It's a specific question for Tom.
Okay.
I like it the way it is.
Okay. So then no changes under number 2, that's about power of attorney. Under number 3, I took out the word also. Because all of these things in the list aren't also, so it didn't seem like we needed that.
mhm.
The survey must include a detailed calculation of net acreage in text and map form that adjusts the gross acreage to account for rights of way and recorded easements. And then in parentheses, take total acreage and subtract the acreage of rights of way and easements to calculate net acreage. We recommend a new survey if your current survey does not include recorded easements.
Yeah.
Are we fine with all of that? Are we fine with that being in parentheses?
Yeah.
Everything, okay. So again, numbers are changing,
Yeah,
so 4 went away because the survey, the net acreage is going in with the survey,
right.
so that now this next
That's
one
all
becomes
3.
4, yes.
And then 4 deals with the
Yes.
applications for a change in zoning shall contain 11 by 17 maps.
Yes, and I took out, I can't remember what document it was on, I took out the part about if an 11 by 17, like if your map can be legible and smaller, that's fine too, I took that out. We never want to look at the smaller maps. If you have to go,
They're hardly ever legible.
and if you have to go to FedEx once in your life to get a bigger map printed for a zoning application, just do it, we want the 11 by 17 map. Is everyone else okay with that? Okay. So. All right. We need a list of contiguous adjoining adjacent across from properties keyed to the list of property owners on the application. The list on the application shall include county parcel ID number, property name, names, addresses, property owners. This is a new addition, and I didn't know if this was worded how we needed it worded. If the auditor's website provides,
Can you lowercase that if, that
yes,
An owner at a different address.
if the auditor's website provides
an,
an owner,
you see that?
yes,
Mhm.
at a different address, please also list the physical address of the property. This seemed sort of like the most user-friendly way to say we don't want just the mortgage company, we also want the physical address. Cause I feel like when we've talked to people and we say we want the tax address, not the mortgage address, that gets confusing, so. Is this worded in?
I'm not totally clear. What are we asking for?
Oftentimes, when you look on the auditor's website, it gives you the mortgage company's address as the mailing
The owner.
address. And so when we're notifying neighboring properties, that notification is going to the mortgage company. They don't give a crap. The person who actually lives there is the one who does. And so I just want to make sure we're also notifying the actual physical address.
What is it listed as? Is it listed as like the taxpayer address?
Right, it's taxpayer address. And I'm not so sure that what we don't want to leave it that way. Because we also, we've had this conversation with Mike and DG about that DG will check the lists. And if it goes to a mortgage company, then she would also send it to the property owner at the physical address that she has.
And if DG is fine with doing that, we
Yeah.
can leave it that way and I can take this out. I just know that we
Yeah.
have had people come in the past to,
Just
Well,
have
we
the
we
more-
had that discussion, and we had that discussion also in the presence of the assistant prosecutor, and his comment was, yes, the zoning office should do that.
okay, so then I can remove
Didn't
this.
say must, but should do that.
But
And Mike was
I
aware of
looked
that,
up
and we've
using
talked
the-
about it, that she,
Auditor.
using the auditor's website. And if there's any inconsistencies between the two, I'll double check and make sure
Okay.
it goes to the actual person at the house.
So then we can take that out.
So we're asking for the names and addresses of the taxpayers.
of the taxpayer.
So
Well,
we-
except that,
That's,
Oh, as it's listed on the auditor's website, that's what the law says. That's
So why don't
what
we
the
change
revised
this where
code
it
says.
says, must be the address of the owners of the property. We're not looking for the owner of the property. We're looking for the taxpayer's
the
address.
tax.
Yeah, that's what the-
it
that's
says
what's
current
in the
tax
revised
list,
code.
which is confusing.
So,
I'd be like,
But-
what's a tax
but-
list?
but if you have a mortgage, usually your mortgage company is paying the taxes.
exactly, and that's what they're gonna give us. That's what the applicant is gonna give
My
us, and
mortgage
that's
company
what,
has to pay my taxes.
and that's
It's
what
very common though.
DG is
Yeah,
gonna
I
change,
know.
right? That's what we were just saying.
Well, she'll send it to both.
She may send it, she'll have to send it to both.
Right.
Right. But so it's rather than, I mean, what it says, the owners of the property, I think, should be the taxpayer. It's the taxpayer on the property, which is, it was the mortgage company, if you're escrowing and it's the mortgage company, then that's who's gonna get, that's what the law says. It's
Okay.
The taxpayer.
so the names
We
and addresses
also
given,
wanted to go to,
And
but that's DG's responsibility,
So it's
so we
not-
don't need to put it on the applicant.
I think,
So the names and addresses given must be the addresses of the taxpayer of the property appearing on the county auditor's current tax
and
list.
that's, and that's a funny way of saying it, because it's real, I mean, you go on the property. What do they call it?
Must be
Is it the
the
general? or-
taxpayer
And
address.
it's the first page of the auditor's website,
Yeah,
and there it is, right at the top on the right-hand side, taxpayer address.
yeah, it says so I think it should be the names and addresses given must be the taxpayer's address.
Appearing on the county auditor's,
website.
is there somewhere else to find county auditor information or is the website it?
I'm sure they could be office, but
Listed,
Should we
listed by the
include,
county auditor.
should we include the URL of the auditor's website to dummy-proof this even further?
And if that
It could change,
changes,
yeah.
Well, but we have our township website listed at lots of places. I just feel like some people are like, well, county auditor's website, and they've never been on it before. I mean, we're on it
And
all the
then-
time,
and
but
then.
Well,
you know, they
Thankfully,
look at the
Delaware's is
address,
very
they look at
user
the
friendly.
owner's Name,
So-
they have it 3 different ways, by parcel ID, by address and by owner. Yeah, give them the
That's good.
auditor's website.
so does anyone have the auditor's website URL? I can get,
auditor.
I'll get my other computer out.
Delco.
Look it
no,
up.
I can get it, I can get it.
it's really easy. It's Delaware County Auditor.
I was trying to do it on this one, but I'm having trouble.
There you go, sure is.
Yeah, it's real easy.
I was
That's
losing my
sensitive.
screen sharing.
Let me just-
I will just copy and paste it. so we can-
Google
My
that.
other one.
Did you
So
find
that's
it on me?
interesting.
Yes.
All right, then I was smart. I'll just get this ready if I need it. For a few. I don't think it's, Too much
You
technology.
have a lot of computers.
Too
on your
much
site.
technology.
Wow.
This is an old one.
All right, so moving right along.
Okay, so how's it, I don't see it anymore, but your channel.
I'll blame Mike for that. I'm not controlling the
Oh.
screen.
Nope. scroll up.
Well, we're on this one, right?
We are on what is now forward. We're right at the page break.
Thank you.
There you go.
All applications, that one, that's the one we've been on, right?
Yes.
Number 4,
Must be the address of the tax.
right?
Must be the
no,
taxpayer's
no,
address.
Taxpayer address.
Yeah.
It literally says taxpayer
Okay,
address.
must be,
That's-
So clear.
must be the taxpayer address of the property appearing on the county auditor's website.
And taxpayer and address are capitalized. right?
Yes.
They will be.
You're still seeing it, but I'm not seeing it
Oh.
on my screen.
Yeah, but somebody just added a bunch of like spaces or something.
Oh, no.
Are you both working on the same document?
We're trying to, technology. All right. Can we move on?
It really only works when people are really good at technology.
Yeah, I'm using it for the very first time.
One day I'll get a computer.
Which isn't a good thing to do.
Mm-mm.
One.
Yeah. Why won't it come back the way it was? I don't understand that either.
Can we go on to the next thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
So,
you can see it. It's up on the screen, but I can't see it on my screen. anymore.
so 6 turned into A and B. So this is now 4A and B, which again matches the 4A and B on the checklist.
Yes.
In the event of a subdivision, I didn't change anything there. And then I added in an applicant must consider all the contiguous properties that they own to be theirs and go one further out.
Mhm.
That was wording that was somewhere else and I just moved there because I figured if we're talking about adjacent, adjoining, contiguous, we should have them all in the same place. And then the next one, 5, yeah, it now becomes 5. No changes in there.
Here it is.
And number 8 is what moved up to 4B.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we got it. yeah.
Taxpayer is 2 words.
Really?
Now that I can see it.
It's there, right?
Tax, Space, payer.
I got the right screen up.
Yep, you got it.
All right.
It needs to be, or why does it keep? Do you see how it's like quadruple spacing everything?
I don't know.
Why is that happening?
Mike, quit touching. things.
Am I too low
Mike-
now?
Mike keeps touching.
Whatever you're doing.
I'm just trying to find.
Yeah, we're good.
You see, okay, so we got the right
There are
screen.
a lot of spaces, but we can figure that.
Yeah, I
out.
don't know. I don't know if once these changes are accepted, and I don't know who does that because I'm not the owner of this document.
Oh.
I don't know if I like turn off track changes if it all goes to looking normal again.
Oh,
Don't accept changes.
Except.
Track changes.
Okay, well, we'll
Here.
do that all eventually. We're not done making changes. I think we are basically done making changes. Ooh.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't think you changed anything else on the rest of the page.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it all goes
Don't-
into the subdivision
Mhm.
stuff or plan districts, and we're not really worrying about plan districts right now.
Right.
Okay.
So then the next thing that there are changes on are the application itself.
You'll have to change the date at the bottom of the page.
So
Oh,
if you check that little, if you hover over that little thing with the green check, does that accept, no, at the top? Does that accept all the changes? then? Do you want to accept those?
oh, it's going through one by one. I can accept.
Oh, all right.
I do
Virginia.
track changes.
No, you see that thing right to the right where it has a little green check? Oh,
I think I'm doing it. I think.
all
that-
right.
I think they're-
Virginia's doing it with you.
But they're weird. It's still leaving multiple spaces. I can go through and fix those though. I think it just,
Yeah.
So. When we get down below number 5. Where it starts, the following additional requirements are applicable only to the request for change in zoning to a planned district. If we find that straight zoning is beyond the capacity of most individuals, planned districts are gonna be on the moon for most people.
Yep,
We just leave all that planned district stuff out.
because some people are gonna wanna try it. You cannot force somebody to, as was pointed out to me when I pointed out to somebody that they should hire somebody to help them. You can't force them to hire somebody
No,
to help them. So,
But we don't have to be the ones trying to help them and spending our time when they should have somebody who knows what they're doing. I mean, I think it's, you know,
I just assume keep these in here.
Right. Yeah, nobody's complaining.
Yeah,
about 'em.
I haven't
Let's
run into
just
issues with
let
those, so.
ride for now.
Well, we've not had any issues with this part of it. No,
nobody's trying to use it.
but we might have some issues in the
Let's
future.
cross that bridge. Cause I think it's more important that we keep trugging along with what's actually being presented.
So are we on to the application? Okay. So up at the top, I think for me personally, it would be helpful to have the date we received it and then the date we set a hearing.
Yeah.
That date slot has just sort of seemed arbitrary to me and I'd never really fill it in because I don't know what date we're looking for.
Well, people who do their application tend to fill it in with the date that they're doing their application or their date they're planning to present it to us. But then I always have to write in,
Yeah,
you know, received or, and then I write in the hearing date anyway.
so I don't know. I mean, they might be trying to fill in both now, which I guess is confusing.
Resolution, is that?
Well-
trustees?
In a way, in that instance, for us to avoid that, we'd have to put it somewhere where we would say, you know, for office use only.
Oh, yeah,
Otherwise, they're gonna be filling it in.
sometimes, yeah, they,
Although they never fill in the application number in the resolutions.
Well, no, that doesn't get filled in. You can
And
put-
they know not to fill that in, so.
We could put a box around that. And then have it say for office use only.
That's fine. Again, I don't have a digital.
No, no, I
copy of
understand,
this,
but-
so
And do we need the?
Trusting at this point, or that maybe DG can do it, at least we're gonna ask whether she can. We can give her a paper copy with the changes that we want.
we need to find Joe Clace. He's got the editable form.
Yeah,
I'm still digging for the original.
I mean, Joe has a copy of it. He's the one who turned it into a PDF that you could fill in online. We just need to reach out to Joe and ask if we can have it.
and what is resolution?
Yeah.
Do we need that? Can we make that the date received rather than the?
Do the trustees use that?
I don't know what, well,
I don't know, like maybe,
we've never used it.
yeah.
Take it out.
The reason that it's there, I think, is that may be used by the trustees. Do you
They-
know, DG?
But they refer to
I
it
have no idea.
by our application numbers when they're doing their hearing too.
Yeah, they normally do, yeah.
And they don't pass a resolution, they just,
Do they
Just
write in
wait.
there
Yeah.
approved or denied?
Yeah, I don't think so.
So let's try it without it. Let's
Yeah.
delete it.
And just have that be date received and then hearing date?
Yeah,
Right.
also in the application.
And then
number,
don't worry about the box.
Do we
I
really,
mean, honestly, let's not be concerned about that.
do we really wanna put number 23 dash something, or can we just leave that blank? Because then we're gonna have to change it every year.
yeah.
It gets
that's what I'm
changed
trying to
every
change.
year, but yeah, you're right. It
So
could just be,
HTCC,
application
and then
HTCC,
write in
and then we
23
can write in whatever the calendar year is that we're dealing with. Good night.
night,
I like that. Let's change that.
Yeah.
So we don't,
and, you know,
because
redo
we
it.
get into a
every-
problem, we've had a problem with that in the past, where
Yes.
all of a sudden we're using an application.
From the previous
And we
year.
have to scratch out
Yeah.
the year and put in the correct year. So we just cross that out. And have a line there. Well, if we can put the hyphen, you know what I mean?
Yeah, like
Mhm.
blank hyphen.
There's a blank and a little space with a hyphen and then continue it.
Yeah, that's fine.
That way. Hopefully, we won't have to be revising this every year.
Mhm.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And then going on down,
So when we say
Back
total
to you.
acreage. On down, yeah, if we go down further to where I'm just wearing total acreage, are we asking for gross?
Well, that's why I
acreage?
changed the bottom one to net acreage. So should we change the top one to gross acreage and the bottom one to net?
I think
All,
maybe we want to say gross acreage here, because at times we get somebody that'll put down the they've got 50 acres, but they're really only wanting to rezone 5 acres
Yeah.
Mhm.
out of the 50.
So do we put gross and then total to be rezoned and not have net here?
No,
Or net acreage of area to be
net
rezoned?
acreage to be rezoned.
So net acreage to be rezoned,
And do we want to change the total acreage to just say gross acreage?
Gross
I don't think
acreage.
it, folks.
I would think
or
so.
gross parcel acreage, is
Well,
gross.
I guess, what are we looking for? I don't really.
The
know.
acreage of the lot that they are presenting the survey for.
So that would be gross acreage then.
So
right?
they should be presenting, even if they have a 50-acre parcel, if they're only rezoning 5 acres. They should be presenting a map of those that shows where those 5 acres are.
Out of the 50.
Yeah.
And it's gotta show the net acreage, so we know that it conforms.
Right.
So
So this would be,
Because they're not-
basically, it's gross acreage to be rezoned and net acreage to be rezoned. It's not like if they own 50 acres and aren't rezoning at all, you
No,
don't,
they're not going, that's
don't really
right.
care
We've had-
about that.
Many a times we've had that.
yeah.
So
But we don't
maybe
really-
that's the way to say it, what you just said, yeah.
Gross acreage to be
Gross
rezoned.
acreage to be rezoned and net acreage to be rezoned.
I had also suggested, people often put in the current use, they'll just write AR1 or FR1 again. Instead of telling us what it's actually used for. So I didn't know if there's room to squeeze in there somewhere, you know. For example, residential, agricultural, industrial, whatever.
Not a lot of room.
There is not a lot of room. But on a lot of our applications, that's filled in incorrectly.
You know what throws me?
Do we
off?
have actual instructions besides
No, we don't.
this? We don't have actual instructions to match. the
For how to fill out
application.
the
That match
application.
the form, no.
I mean, if it were an online form, then you'd have a drop down menu and.
Yes,
Yeah.
which I would like.
Well, at this point, let's not try to squeeze it in there, but let's see if we can graduate to an online form where we can have a drop down menu.
Works for me.
Okay.
How would, can you handle that? I don't know what your technology skills are. I've been told you have a lot of skills.
A certification in computer design from Ohio State.
Do it.
So if you want a drop-down menu, I can do that. It just so, and if you want an online application, I can do that. It just sort of depends on the current website that you have and how well I could build something that can integrate whatever system they have. So.
Why don't
the
you come
answer-
back and
the
tell
answer
us?
is Yes, so
Okay, so,
I know how.
We'll work towards that.
yeah, then let's have DG see if she can in fact create it the way that we want it.
I can at least get like a clickable mock-up prototype made.
Yeah, that's
That
what I'm
you guys
thinking
can
about.
do, and then
There is a PDF of this in existence that has all the text boxes that you can type into.
Yeah.
And so I imagine we can get that to you as a starting point if we reach out to Joe.
that'd be a decent starting point. I'm thinking things that I don't want to explain because it take way too much time. But yeah, send that to me and I can at least use that as a jumping off point.
Does anybody have that or do we need to contact Joe?
Now I have to reach
think
out,
I might
find
have-
out.
Yeah, Mike Cannon could reach. it.
Mike might, yeah, Mike might actually have it. Mike Cannon should be the person that would contact Joe and ask him for it, because it needs to come into that office, not to me.
Want to do that? You know who Joe Clace is?
I'll check my stuff too.
His last name is Clase,
Okay.
and he lives up in Ashley, I think, and he's a planner. And he does a lot of, he did the Steiner development.
Okay.
He owns a private company, but
The
it's
name
worked
of
with us
his-
enough that
Yeah, the
he's
name
done
of
half
his
of our work for us because
Okay.
Plans for
we were
land.
bugging.
Plan for Land is the name of the company.
almost like Toys R Us, but
Yeah, number 4, saying 4.
so range, township, section and lot number, do we still need all of that or just parcel ID?
I don't think we need that. We've never used it.
Just-
Ray.
Do
Have we?
subdivisions have parcel IDs or are they lot numbers?
Good point. That would be where it would come in.
I think they're lot numbers.
Do,
Yeah.
but do range.
They're not,
different sections?
they're not parcel numbers.
No, I think they have their own parcel numbers. Every lot has its own parcel number.
In a subdivision?
Okay,
I mean, you can look on Keller Pines and see, but I know the one that I just looked at, which is a small one, each one has its own parcel ID. So, and the only thing that Range Township section shows up on the deed. Because
Yeah, it does.
that's the old way of calling it out, but we don't need it. And if you have the parcel ID, you're done. You know exactly
Right.
which parcel it is.
That's it.
And that's what shows up on the auditor's site.
right.
And the others show up down below, but it doesn't really explain what they are. It'll show you 16, 3,
They,
4.
yeah, every parcel must have that parcel ID number in order, because that's the tax. Number.
Okay,
So
so we
let's,
could probably get rid of the township range and section and lot numbers.
I think so.
yeah, I think we can, since we've concluded that everybody has a parcel ID. Every lot has a parcel ID.
And is that's true even in like Center Village and Harlem Village, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they all have, they were listed out.
Yeah, because we got the list. He showed us that list that has all the numbers,
It
right?
does have, they do have lot numbers, but I don't know if we care about that.
In the subdivision, they'll
Mhm.
have lot numbers, but they'll still have their own.
But they still have a parcel ID number.
And the
Yeah.
parcel IDs are all different from each other.
Let's look at that.
They're unique.
Let's double check another.
Because like Mike was saying, they're all keyed. to the
Yes, they are
tax.
unique.
Okay, and that should be all we need anymore.
So we can get rid of those other ones.
Sounds good.
I do have a question about, so it says current zoning district, proposed zoning district. Is district, is that how we refer to it? That always confuses me.
Mhm.
Is that what it
Yeah,
is? It's
every
not just
zoning
current.
District, no.
Yeah. All of these titled things are districts.
Okay. That's just confusing to me.
The
somebody who
articles,
doesn't-
the chapters don't always say district.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
they're supposed to.
So you see on there that I added that we should have property owners and mortgage company. We can take that out because DG is going to do that.
So just take out what you added.
Yes,
Okay.
except for down in the parentheses at the bottom of that paragraph.
Okay,
use this as a key to the.
11 by 17. yeah.
I, then it says property owners list on the checklist and it says to use this as a key here and hopefully
I think that's pretty.
it's in enough places.
You just never know.
Once upon a time, I just checked the Harlem Township website to see it's no longer there. The application to for the amendment of the township zoning map was at one time an electronic application that was on the website. It's not there anymore.
Editable.
Yeah, and it was editable.
Yeah.
Right.
We've asked for too many things. First, we wanted the digital copy and then we wanted the website updated. And now we're back to
And
no.
now I think,
digital
you know,
copy
that's
is
been
the
taken
website.
off, so. I don't think, there's no place they can even access it, it looks like.
Hmm.
Let's see, well, no, I'll take
I
that
saw
back,
it
here it
somewhere
is.
not too long ago.
Found it.
It's there, but it's not, it's no longer. Can I fill that in? Maybe I can.
Yeah,
Zoning document.
yeah, if they're getting a space like that, you can fill that in.
No, can't, didn't do it.
I can fill it in.
Yeah,
you
it
can.
works.
Yeah.
So
It's
what-
It's
not-
there, it's online.
It does not have the drop down though. And we're
There are
making,
no drop downs in it.
yeah, and we're making other edits, so.
DG, do you see that?
So DG, there it is. It's a PDF file. Application for amendment of the zoning map. So that's what you can start working from perhaps.
Mhm.
You don't need to contact Joe Clays because this is it.
Okay.
It's quick.
Okay.
Moving on,
That was really all I had on the application.
so
The only thing is the fee. Brittany, I know you had talked about taking out the 23 so that we didn't have to edit this every year. Chances are we are going to have to edit it every year if our fees change.
That's okay.
Well,
Hopefully they don't
These
change every
don't
year.
change every year usually. It's like every 4 or 5 years,
Okay.
they have, yeah, we were at 500 for a lot of years.
a lot of years.
Um, A non-refundable application base fee is $1,200. And that's good, that's on there. It stays the way that it is, because I don't anticipate they're gonna change the fees.
No, because that just got changed this year, right?
yes.
Right, no, I mean, that's what I meant, for next
Yeah.
year, I don't think it's gonna
Yeah.
change. Unless strategic planning makes a recommendation.
Not us.
Well, then those are my edits. I mean, we've talked about the lessee thing. but
Okay.
Apparently we can't legally get.
Now,
You're good.
are you able to accept the changes on your?
I accepted all of the changes on the procedural guidelines. I will send that out again. To just have you look through it for typographical and grammatical things that may have gotten
Yeah,
Okay,
mixed up.
Here,
I can see now that all the changes have been accepted on my.
Yeah, they
copy
should
that
be,
I'm
they should
looking
be
at.
cleaned
Yeah.
up. Yes. Okay.
So on the.
So now
application-
for tracking changes, we're done with changes, so why don't we turn that off? Right?
That's fine.
Off.
The only thing I'm seeing now, there are some spacing issues that we had, but that's okay. I can- Should be able to. Okay.
whatever you can work out and then send out again
Yes.
would be good, Virginia.
Yeah. And. If we're gonna make additional changes at this point. I'm thinking that maybe it would be easier to do it by us. Once we have the copy that we're talking about that we've now drafted here and Virginia's gonna send out to us. That we work from that a paper copy at that point. And identify, if we're going to making changes, then one person can make the changes.
Yeah.
Like you,
Yeah,
as
that's,
you've been doing.
But I mean, we can still use this as an electronic copy like we do with the minutes.
Right.
You can go first and Joni can go second, and if you want to make changes and we'll just. They'll just add up.
Actually, it's a little bit different because it's not. It's still the Google Doc, huh? It's not. written
no,
like a
no,
Word
this
doc.
is Microsoft, this track change thing that we just did.
Okay,
The other one is Google Docs, but the
okay,
checklist is Google Docs.
but this one's just a regular Word doc.
I believe so.
Okay.
But I don't know why it looks the way that it does. It certainly doesn't look that way. Anything else that I do. This copy of on a Word document looks very different than anything else that I have.
Okay,
I'm
That's
not
how it
sure
opened
why.
up when you sent it to me.
Mm,
I know, but what I'm saying is, I don't know why it looks the way that it does here.
maybe it's just a different font.
No,
Oh,
I think it's the setup that looks.
so we can, you want to leave the track changes on?
Well, no, leave it off, but as each one of us gets it, like we get with the minutes, those don't have track changes. opened
No, we
up.
don't.
You open it up yourself
Right.
if you want to make a change, and then,
Okay, now I'm with you on that.
so we'll do it the same way we do the
So
minutes.
we leave the track changes off, but if we do see something we want to make a change, you just make that change. And pass it along.
Yeah, yeah.
So that one copy would accumulate all the changes.
I think so. You want to go first,
All right.
like you do with the minutes?
Well. We won't come back to work on this until, I guess, the first meeting in November. So, yeah, I could do it by then, because I mean, we are gonna be leaving town. So, it wouldn't get done until I would return, so that would be, but it would be before, be the last, like, the last 10 days of October. When's our next meeting in November? I
November,
haven't looked at that date yet.
November 6th. That's another one right before election day.
I was gonna say,
Uh,
do we move?
Yeah, it's not, that's, I should have known that, yeah. It's the Monday before election day. So we'll either be meeting. We'll probably be meeting over at the Grange Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be able to get in
I
here.
shouldn't say either, we will be meeting at the Grange Hall.
And there is internet there now, correct?
Yeah. There's no screeny kind of things.
Yeah.
So that's why we will have to work with a paper copy,
Mhm.
but you'll have it on your computer.
Yeah, if I bring it to
Sure.
you, yeah, which I
And
will
then-
try to remember to do. I just sent out the copies again, so hopefully. You all will have them.
All right, getting back to the application itself. Which DG is gonna work on. What I would suggest we do is expand these 6 names and addresses so that it's only 4. So that each one takes up half a page. So there's room to actually write in the information. And
then the additional pages can,
the additional pages will make up whatever else, because you need additional pages anyway,
oh yeah,
right?
but the additional pages would follow that same format.
I would say yes.
Yeah, only 2 per row
Or, yeah,
versus 3.
2 rows, yes. 2 up. And what I do when I'm looking at this myself is I always go to the zoning map and I put in the zoning district that's on that parcel, whether it's AR or FR. I like to know that, and I like to know what the acreage is. Do we want to ask, since they're already on the auditor's website, looking up the name and address, everything is there. Do we want to add in here for the parcel ID? Also add in a line for acreage and a line for,
Zoning district.
current zoning. Or zoning district. Does that make sense to anybody?
I don't know.
I'm
It's,
looking
it's
that up.
really easy to find the name, address, and parcel ID. How much further do you have to look for the?
The acreage is right there, right at the top. The zoning, you gotta look on the zoning map.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't even know how to find that.
Yeah,
So,
I don't think we want to add stuff for them to fill out. If.
I'm
it-
thinking
it
in
gives us
terms
one
of,
more Thing to look at to check too, and I don't. really-
yeah, and the more that we add, the more likely they are to not get it right.
Yeah,
So when you do that for them, you can just send us what you find and then we'll all have it. So-
Tom wants it because he's thinking of it from the perspective of it might help him make a decision.
Yeah,
Well,
does
that's
it
good.
Match the area.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But I'm not so sure that it would be a good idea to require for the applicants to provide us with that.
Yeah.
Because what we do, what I do is I usually go back, I find the parcel, I go to the GIS and I see it, and then I look at,
oh, the surrounding parcels.
yeah,
Yeah.
all the surrounding parcels, so I just get a picture of, and if it's a 1 acre or a 2 acre lot, and it'll stand out as being different around the others, or if there's a bunch of other 2 acre lots, they show up, the size
Yeah.
shows up, so. For me, it's more of a visual thing than it is to actually have the numbers.
yeah, that's what I do too.
Okay,
Okay. So. EG, did you get notes on everything that we were talking about on the application so that you'll know what to work on to create a draft, a mock-up for us that you were talking about?
Yeah, I have plenty to go on, and if I have specific questions, I'll email it out to you.
Virginia, didn't you
Yeah.
write on your copy too? Did you write all the changes on your copy?
for the most part, I didn't do Tom's.
Oh.
Switch this to 4.
Well, it also said, it says in the property owners at the end, it said if more than 6 property owners, so you have to change that 6 to 4 then.
More than 4.
Here it has 6.
Yeah. I think that's probably a good suggestion to change that to just 4, because everything gets so crowded in there. Sometimes,
And like, who could fit anything in city? That's just. crazy.
Westerville.
That's
It's hard to fit in there.
all right. I think we've covered it. Virginia, got any questions about it? You're gonna send us the updated,
I have sent them already, both the updated procedural guidelines and the checklist.
you sent them both, okay?
Yes.
And then DG, you're gonna work on a revision of the application. And when you have a mock-up ready.
Yeah.
Can you just send it out to all of us, to the whole zoning commission?
Yeah.
And that way then we'll all have the same thing in terms of providing any feedback.
Mhm.
All right? When do you think that you'd be able to complete that? I mean, there's no great rush. We're looking at not coming back to this in terms of dealing with it as a commission agenda item until the November meeting, November the 6th. But if you could get it out to us 2 or 3 weeks, within 2 weeks, that would be great.
I can definitely have a clickable mock-up made within 2 weeks.
Okay.
Won't be the prettiest, but it might be great.
Well, send it out as a clickable mock-up and then electronically, everybody can check it.
Mhm.
Because it'll be there for them to download, right?
So what I'll do is I'm gonna build it in an application and then that'll just send you like a little web application. It'll look like its own little self-contained website.
Oh, okay.
So,
I didn't know how you would do it.
Yeah.
Fine.
um,
We'll be able to click on it and open it. That's all we need to know.
yeah, you'll definitely be able to open it depending on how much time I have. I might be able to do a web version and a phone version. It just kind of depends.
Okay,
Yeah, I'll prioritize the web version first, but a phone version could also come.
sounds great.
You can actually do rezoning on your telephone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something?
Too hard to see
Technology.
when it's on the website even, so.
All right. Well, I'm finished with the sharing. I'm going to stop sharing.
I think we're about through everything.
Yeah, we made it
6
through.
minutes early.
Yeah. You did a great job, see?
Yeah,
You were able.
hopefully.
We didn't put-
Mike also wasn't here to,
we didn't overload our agenda.
yes, that's true. But Mike didn't get to contribute his 2 cents, so. We'll see how they stand up since he sees
He can argue with us. next
He sees
time.
the front line a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we'll make sure that he has this version, but come November, our goal will be to try to get it finalized in November. At the very latest, we want to approve it in December because we
Yeah.
want it to be in place for the
Yeah,
January meeting.
Okay, and our in-person public left around 9 o'clock, so we have no final public comment to do.
Okay.
No final public
that
comment.
was actually a candidate for trustee, so.
Matt.
Oh, was he?
And I have seen him at a couple meetings before, so.
Okay.
But we were trying to determine, one of the next door posts is, who of these candidates are actually coming to public meetings, and
So that's
not
Matt
many so
Yeager,
far.
and he's been coming religiously to the strategic planning committees for months and months.
He was in Lancaster with us. With that woman as well.
Yeah, I think he did come down for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before the chicken noodle dinner on Friday, he and Katie power washed the Grange.
Wow, that's nice.
He says, oh, I like power washing.
So do
Now,
I.
see,
It's very satisfying.
I'm concerned about that.
You can actually see
That's a different story.
improvements.
Yeah.
He's got
Do
more
it.
control over his schedule than a lot of people do. He knows a month in advance when he's gonna be working.
What is he? Wait, what?
He's an overseas pilot for Delta.
Oh,
For Delta?
Oh, for Delta.
Oh.
So he flies to Japan, to Amsterdam. I mean, he just, you never know, South Africa, you never know, he never knows. A month ahead, he puts his bid in for where he's going. They
Yeah.
tell him where he's going.
Well, folks, let's stop talking about
Okay.
candidates. That's not appropriate for our discussion here tonight, and we're being recorded too.
Okay.
Uh,
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Second,
Awesome.
oh, sorry.
Virginia got.
Is there, I heard Virginia, I
is.
think seconded.
It is 7:27.
No.
I mean,
9:27.
9:27, sorry. Ah, I said that earlier too.
All right,
9:27.
moved and seconded, all in favor, aye?
Bye.
Opposed, no, okay, the motion to adjourn is approved, when we are adjourning at 9:27. It's early for us on a regular.
Breaking records.
I'm fine. I don't feel good.